context about the tournament, about the Italy team, about you, how you were feeling?
I was 10 years old, and I am a fan, a very, very great fan of Italian team. And Euro 2000 was the second great championship I saw with Italy. The first was 2 years before in France, 98. Italy in 2000 was a very, very, very good team with many top players. And the journey of Euro 2000 of Italy was very, very good. There was something magic. And when I saw and I see today this match, this player in Euro 2000, it's like to see heroes for me.
Right. So the beginning of the tournament, how was it for Italy? Was it easy from the beginning, or was it a rocky start?
It was quite easy because Italy plays so well and won every match. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of skepticism because Italy lost and didn't play well some friendly match before the championship. Mm-hmm. And there was also many teams like the France or the Germany or also England. Mm-hmm. And I don't think many people thought Italy will be in the final of Euro 2000.
Mm-hmm. But this is what happens with Italy very often. People don't think anything about Italy, and then before you know it, they're playing the championship final, right?
Yes. The same in the World Cup of 1982, in 1994, and also in 2006.
Especially in 2006.
Yes.
But let's go back to the Euro 2000. So a lot of skepticism around the squad. Who are the best players in the tournament for Italy?
For Italy, maybe Francesco Totti. He was very young, and maybe the Italian people knew already Totti in 2000, but all the world didn't know this excellent player, this top player of Roma. Mm-hmm. And Totti was the surprise of year 2000.
Yeah, and in the semi-final versus the Netherlands, he did the very famous cucchiaio, right?
The panenka.
Yeah, the lob. He said, "Moglie faccio cucchiaio." Now I'm going to do the lob. Yes. And he scored. And in the semi-final, it was the great game of Francesco Toldo, right?
Yes. And another magic thing of Euro 2000 is that Toldo wasn't the first goalkeeper of Italy. Mm-hmm. Because the first goalkeeper of Italy was already in 2000 Gianluigi Buffon. In a friendly match before the championship,
he got injured, yeah. And then before you know it, Francesco Toldo in the semi-final against the Netherlands saves 4 or 5 penalties during the game and at the penalty shoot.
Yes, it was the first time that Italy won a match with the penalty kicks.
Yeah. Well, and so everything. So it's Francesco Totti's tournament. Buffon is the starting goalkeeper, but Toldo plays instead. He has an incredible tournament. And in the end, the final versus France. So how was France looking at the time? France were intimidating, I remember.
France was a great team, but didn't play so well like Italy and like another team, Portugal.
Uh-huh.
But France was a very, very, very solid team.
So, Joe, give us a bit of context. You said that you fell in love with football 2 years before, and now the team that you fell in love with is competing in a championship final for the European Cup. How were you feeling that day?
I was 10 years old. It was a Portium Army in Italy, at the sea.
And were you nervous before the game? Were you excited?
Yes, but I was maybe short that Italy will won the match.
Yeah.
Because all it was so perfect and maybe the match was yes, very hard for Italy and also for France.
Yeah.
But near the end, Italy was winning with the goal of Marco Del Vecchio, forward of Roma.
So it's 1-0 after a very difficult, tough game. 1-0, 90th minute, and then the referee gives 3 minutes of added time.
Yes, and 3 minutes was too long for this match, in my opinion.
All right.
And Will Tord scored the goal for France in the 3rd minute of the 3 minutes of the injury time.
Yeah, and I remember that it all started because of a mistake from Maldini, one of the best defenders.
No, Cannavaro.
It was Cannavaro?
Yes.
He made a mistake.
Mistake of Cannavaro, and also Nesta
was responsible.
Yes, I quite, because he was in front of Will Tord.
And then we go to extra time. But in this tournament, it was no normal extra time. It was the golden goal. So the first team to score a goal win the game. And what happened, Joe?
What happened? Something in my mind, but I think also in the mind of the players changed.
And
because the France maybe played quite better than before.
Mm-hmm.
But also in better time there was something I don't really like, because David Trezeguet gives a kick on the nose of Francesco Toldo. The nose of Francesco Toldo was bleeding.
Okay.
And the referee showed to Trezeguet only the yellow card.
Okay. And then what did Trezeguet do a few minutes later?
I think near the end of the second extra time, Trezeguet scored the golden goal.
And Joe, you sometimes say that was the most bitter moment of your life. Is that true?
Yes, for the first time I realized that something you really care about, something you work hard for, not me, but the Italian players, and something you reserve may not come true.
Yeah, it's very tough. But Joe, hey, thank you very much for sharing your story with us. It was definitely a pleasure, and we'll definitely invite you some more time to give us some of your football knowledge.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Forza Italia, Joe.
Forza Italia.
My name is Jack from the For the Love of Lists podcast, #FTLOL, and my footballing nightmare was the horror show that was Chelsea 6, Arsenal 0 in March 2014. So in this season, we started really well. I think we were top of the league for a good while, but by March time, this was the final nail really in our title race, because we'd already been battered 5-1 by Liverpool, 6-3 by City, but this just killed our title hopes and just confirmed that Wenger didn't have it anymore when it came to the big games. This was Wenger's 1000th game as well, and it should have been a special one, but it was remembered, but for all the wrong reasons. I think we went 3-0 down in the first 20 minutes, and that included Kieran Gibbs being mistakenly sent off for a handball, which was done by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and we were just nowhere to be seen. It was just a complete bottle job by us. Laurent Koscielny, who I defended for years, had an absolute shocker of a game. It just seemed like every big game, he would just turn into a sort of Championship League One level centre-back, and I think it was Samuel Eto'o up top at the time, just destroyed him. Eden Hazard destroyed us as normal. And to make matters worse, where was I watching it? I was watching it in the house of a Chelsea fan who was absolutely loving it. That just made the game even worse, really. This was probably the last big game that I actually expected us to do something, and yeah, I think this is our worst defeat in Premier League history. I know we lost 8-2 to Man United at Old Trafford as well, but there was reasons behind that. We had a really inexperienced team, and we were in a proper bad way. But this game, it looked like for that season that we might be back to challenging for the title. I think we were a couple of points behind Chelsea before the game, and they just pulled away after that, and so did the likes of City and Liverpool as well, after finishing the season so poorly for us, because we were well in a title race, but this completely killed it. This was a build-up of sort of 3 or 4 games that season, but yeah, we were just dominated. It was a typical game where we had a fair bit of the ball, but just didn't do anything with it. Chelsea were clinical. We defended like amateurs. The 10 men didn't help, but you know, that was a red card. Yes, it should have been Chamberlain, and it was Gibbs instead that got sent off, but that wouldn't have stopped anything. It just proved that Wenger was finished as a top coach, and I think from that game is when Mourinho was calling him a specialist in failure. And what a way to mark your 1000th game, losing 6-0 to arguably your biggest rival. It was a joke, really. And yeah, I'm going to stop talking about it now.
My name's Joe. I'm calling from Poland, and my football horror story is the Chelsea versus Bayern Munich 2012 Champions League final.
So, Joe, I'm pretty sure you're a Spurs fan, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Why did you pick this game?
So, if you remember, Tottenham finished 4th in the Premier League that season, which would normally have qualified them for the Champions League. But because Chelsea, who finished 6th, went all the way to the final, got dominated by Bayern Munich, but somehow got through and beat them on penalties, that meant Tottenham didn't play in the Champions League final. So that's why it's mainly my horror story.
Rough for a Tottenham supporter, right?
Yeah, very.
It's quite a Spursy thing to happen. Like, they've had, I think this next to the lasagna gate are like the various funny reasons why Tottenham haven't qualified for the Champions League.
And haven't they changed the rule now as well? Like that can't even happen? I guess it's only happened to Spurs.
I think it was for 1 year. Yeah. I think it was for 1 year.
So, Joe,
makes it even better.
Give us a bit of context. So, where did you watch that game? What was the atmosphere like? Why was it that big of a nightmare for you?
Okay, so firstly, I would have normally watched it at home, but a friend of mine who's not interested in football at all had a house party. So I was at that house party, and most of the people there had